Here's a really embarrassing story. When I was in college and a virgin, there was a girl that I really liked, but she was sleeping with one of my friends. And then one day they broke up, so I was really excited. And I remember we were at a party and she said, you know, my dorm is pretty far. I'm gonna stay at Alex's place. So I'm so excited. We walk back to my dorm room, we get in bed, and nothing happens because I was so clueless and so nervous around women that I literally didn't make a move. And then a few months later, she started dating someone else. Stuff like this would happen all the time. And eventually I just got tired of it. I got tired of being alone. I got tired of failing with girls. So I made a plan to get my shit together. And ultimately, it worked. In fact, over time, I wound up sleeping with hundreds of girls. And today, I'm in a very happy long-term relationship with an amazing girlfriend. And so in this video, I'm gonna share with you guys the 6-step plan that I personally used to get my shit together and that you can utilize as well to transform your dating life and get your dream girlfriend. Step 1, quit looking like a loser. So there's 2 big misconceptions when it comes to dating. The first you see a lot on the internet, which is that, look, if you're not Chad in 2025, you have no chance of dating an attractive girlfriend because they're all gravitating towards the Chads and towards the millionaires. And this can easily be debunked by simply spending some time in the real world and observing all the couples where the guy's like average looking and the girl is more attractive than him. You see a lot of that, and I've shown a lot of that in some of my street reviews. But the second mindset is the opposite of that and is equally as wrong, which is that, look, looks only matter to a small percentage of really shallow girls. You know, the high quality girls, for them, it's what's on the inside that counts. And that's not really true either. The truth is somewhere in the middle. So instead of worrying about your looks and being concerned about that, you need to take action and improve what you can. So let's take a look at me as an example, right? This is me around 2014, right, when I'm fresh coming out of my virgin phase, but I'm still kind of inexperienced with women. Look at how I look, right? I don't look that presentable. I'm 135 pounds, my hair is a mess, my beard is a mess, right? You're just looking at this guy, it's like, yeah, maybe average looking at best. So then I started going to the gym, I put on some muscle, I grew out my beard and made it actually nice and orderly, and I got a fresh haircut. And look what kind of a difference that made. Combine that with better fashion, I look like a whole different person. But I'm not even the most drastic example. Let me show you my business partner, Indian PE. So this is him back in India. Can you imagine this guy getting laid? Well, he wasn't. At this point, he was a virgin, right? And then he decided to work on himself. He went to the gym, he got a good haircut, better fashion, you know, instead of glasses, he did contacts. And look what a difference it makes. He went from being a guy that's completely unfuckable to a guy who's actually slept with, you know, well over 100 women, right? And that's big part of that is because he completely transformed his appearance, transformed his vibe. And I want to show you guys the most drastic transformation that I've ever seen. Take a look at this one. So here we have another Indian guy, and it just looks like he's just the stereotypical fob Indian. He was getting like 0 matches on Tinder, you know, did some basic SMV stuff that didn't really even take that long and looks like a whole different person. Right? This transformation took place only weeks. He just had to change his grooming and his fashion, but look at what a difference it makes. And now he's getting over a dozen matches on Tinder per day. That's a massive transformation. And that can be done when you get your shit together and focus on optimizing what you can instead of complaining about the stuff that you can't. Step 2, don't actually try to get a girlfriend. Let me explain this paradoxical statement. So I once knew a guy that was pretty good at getting laid. His lay count was in the triple digits, but for some reason, whenever he met a girl that he wanted to date, he would always strike out with her. So I did a deep dive and really analyzed what he was doing, and the conclusion was very simple. All the girls that he was actually finding to be girlfriend material, he was putting them on a pedestal, and thus he became a lot more needy around them. His game became a lot worse. He became a lot more risk averse, and then he wound up basically not making it work with all the girls that he really wanted to make it work with. So the lesson here is simple. Don't have your mindset be, I need to get a girlfriend. Instead, change your mindset to, it would be cool if a girlfriend happened, but for now, I'm gonna enjoy meeting new girls, sleeping with new girls, getting to know new girls, and then I'm just gonna see what happens. That's gonna make you more attracted to women, and also, paradoxically, that's gonna make it much more likely that you actually wind up in a relationship with a great girl that you like. Step 3, get laid. Before you can get a girlfriend, you need to learn how to get laid. A lot of people seem to wanna skip this step because it involves improving your game and social skills, but it is essential because if if you just wife up the first girl that's willing to sleep with you, you're probably going to be in for a disaster. And this really doesn't have much to do with, your money, or not even as much to do with your looks as most people think. I've known plenty of good-looking guys or rich guys who were very unsuccessful with women. That's because they had no confidence, they had no risk. And if you don't have that in 2025, you are screwed, which is why you need to really focus on improving your social skills. And the only way to do that is by putting yourself out there. It involves doing the painful things that you might not want to do, like going out and cold approaching girls, just talking to girls in various social situations, setting up dates, basically to put yourself in social situations with women and get lots of reps in. And this is something that you can greatly utilize this channel for, because I cover everything ranging from dating apps to cold approach and much, much more, and use all these resources to your advantage to level up your social skills. Step 4, follow the 37% rule. You might have never heard of this, but this is a math strategy that is designed to help you get the best possible outcome when you have choices, and this perfectly applies to dating. If we think, what is the biggest issue that we can observe when it comes to relationships? Well, we see a lot of guys dating girls who treat them like complete shit. You've seen it on social media, I've seen it in public, and you sometimes want to go up to the guy and give him a bro hug and be like, dude, what are you doing with your life? You're better than this, right? But why does that happen? Well, almost entirely this happens because the guy settles down for the first or second girl that's willing to fuck him, because he's not picking from a place of abundance. The 37% rule seeks to avoid that. So what this means in practice is that now that you're able to get laid, you basically start turning some of those girls into friends with benefits, the ones that you like. This way you can get to know them over a longer period of time. They might be thinking, how the hell do I do that? Well, essentially it comes down to 4 things. Number 1, be great in bed. You should be able to really make a girl come at least once, but ideally multiple times. And if you're not doing that, you're going to miss out a lot of potential friends with benefits. Also, this applies to girls that you want to date, right? Like, sex is a very strong motivator, and most guys are horrible in bed and cannot make a woman orgasm. So if you're the exception to that, that's going to give you a big leg up, between all the other guys that she could be dating, even guys who are richer and better looking than you. This is very powerful, so don't ignore this. Number 2 is do your best to make sure the girl doesn't feel used. So I would like to send a girl basically after sex, maybe an hour later, a text that says, hey, I had fun with you, right? That kind of stuff helps. After you finish having sex, don't just be like, all right, cool, I'll see you later. You can cuddle in bed with her, talk with her. I recommend even opening up to the girl and basically sharing some private things about yourself after sex, right, to develop a little bit more of a deeper emotional connection. Sometimes it just doesn't happen because it's one of those things where you kind of either feel it or you don't, but really just try best to be a little bit more vulnerable and try to make it happen, make sure the girl doesn't feel used. The third thing is don't be needy or demanding. This is, again, something a lot of guys do. They basically, they sleep with a girl once and they're like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you not texting me back, right? Avoid becoming the needy guy. Avoid becoming the demanding guy. Be cool, be confident, be assertive, but don't become a drag. And the last step is simply you want to actually set up the second date within a reasonable time frame. So you sleep with a girl once and don't just assume like, oh, I'll hit her up 2 months later once I'm finished with all these other girls, right? I try to set up the second date within a week or so, right? The sooner the better. Again, you don't have to go crazy here, but the sooner the better, because the more time passes, she starts to cool off, and then your chance of her coming back for round 2 is a lot less. Once you guys have seen each other 3-4 times and you guys have hooked up, at that point, it becomes a lot more consistent, right? But before you get to that period, it is important to constantly keep setting up the dates so you can keep seeing her more in a shorter period of time. Step number 5, never think with your dick. And this is the mistake, unfortunately, a lot of guys make. So now you have a few friends with benefits if you've been following the instructions I've given you so far, and it's time to start looking for girlfriend qualities. Don't just pick the hottest one and be like, all right, she's gonna be my girlfriend. Instead, take some time and write down actually what characteristics, what qualities you want in a long-term partner, in your dream girlfriend. For example, for me, that was honesty, integrity, intelligence, someone who's very reliable, and someone who has a good sense of humor, stuff like that. And so when I was, hooking up with a bunch of girls and had a bunch of friends with benefits, I was screening for those things. And you don't want to make a decision really fast. You want to give it some time, because a girl can seem great for the first week or the first month. She can put up a front, but over time, if you give it 3, 4, 5, 6 months, that front starts to fade and you get to know the real her, which is important for making this decision. Now, you might be thinking, why do I need to pick from a friends with benefits? Can't I just pick like from the first date or whatever? And the answer answer is, in theory, you can, but you face a very real potential risk, which is that you get into a relationship with a girl because you want to get laid. And this is going to happen on a subconscious level. You're not going to really realize it right away, but a year later, when you guys are fighting, you're going to be sitting there thinking like, why did I decide to date her? Oh yeah, I was horny, right? So don't make that mistake. And by picking from a girl who you're already friends with benefits with, you completely avoid that risk. Also, you have much more time to get to know her. And keep in mind, women are going to be the most vulnerable after sex. That's when you're going to be the most likely to see the real her. And so that's going to happen if she's a friends with benefits, but not if it's some random girl you want to date with twice. And I just want to share with you guys a few qualities that you need to absolutely avoid in a woman. By far the biggest one is her having a victim mindset. Because a girl who's a victim, who's constantly victimizing herself, will never take accountability for anything, and everything will be your fault. So don't date these girls. The second is going to be lying, or just some kind of basically manipulation. You catch her in a bunch of lies. Stay away from that girl. And here's one that people don't really talk about, but look at her other relationships, and specifically mean with her friends, right? Is she getting new friends every year, or does she have friends that she's known since childhood? That matters a lot. And also, is she able to maintain her job, or is she getting a new job every year? If she has friendships from 10, 20 years ago, people that she's still close to, she's able to maintain a job, she's honest with you, you've never caught her in a lie, and she doesn't have a victim mindset, then she might be great girlfriend potential. Step 6, be the chooser. Or another way of saying this is pick from a place of abundance. So now you have a few fuck buddies, and there's one you really like. You know, she has all the qualities you're looking for without any of the negative traits that I mentioned. So, you know, it's been 3, 4, 5, 6 months, maybe a year. Right now it's time to kind of establish a more serious dynamic. So it's always ideal if the girl is the one to bring up the girlfriend talk, but if she doesn't, that's okay. You're the man, your job is to lead. So you can come to the girl and be like, hey, listen, I just want to say, I really enjoy our time together. Pause. Let her speak. Let her basically tell you where she's at. But here you can kind of establish, you know, the guidelines for a relationship. And I'll be honest, personally, for most people, I recommend monogamy, because I find that a one-way open relationship only works if the girl doesn't have a jealous bone in her body, which is not going to be the majority of women. But either way, whatever type of relationship that you want to have, it is important that you establish your boundaries right off the bat, right? This is the thing that's basically, you know, gonna piss me off. This is the thing I'm okay with. She should know your boundaries inside and out, and you should know hers. Also, it's very important to have clear communication, right? Whenever something's bothering you, you should be able to talk to her, and vice versa. Sometimes when, you know, my girlfriend, it just looks like she's pissed off, I'll be the one that brings it up. I'll be like, hey, look, something looks like it's bothering you. What's up? Because you really want to just nick this stuff in the bud before it starts to fester and turns into resentment, which is the #1 relationship killer. And I would say the last thing, the most important thing for actually having a great relationship is being selective and choosing for the right girl from the beginning. So this goes back to all the stuff I mentioned about qualities you want to avoid, and writing down the qualities that you want in a girlfriend and picking from that place of abundance. And I want to end off this video by sharing with you guys exactly how I met my current girlfriend, who I can proudly say is the love of my life. So it was exactly with the stuff I mentioned in this video. We met on Bumble, and we started off as fuck buddies, right? We were just having good sex, we kind of vibe well, and we just kept hooking up with each other. But over time, after several months, I started to kind of get to know her, and I was just amazed how great of a person she is. I don't want to say a bunch of things about her that's going to violate her privacy, but let's just say she takes care of a lot of people that she doesn't have to, because she has a really big heart, and I really admire that about her. So after about a year, we kind of sat down and talked about our future. She was the one that initiated the girlfriend talk, which I mentioned in the beginning, but it's not a big deal if you do as well. And so initially we'd gotten to kind of a quasi relationship, and unfortunately, you know, I made some mistakes early on. I violated some of her boundaries, and I learned from those mistakes, and I never did it again. So the relationship didn't start off perfect. It was a little rocky, but eventually we got there. We got to a place where we both immensely trust each other, love each other, and we both make each other's lives significantly better, right? And that's what's important. And that's what I think every single one of you guys who's watching this video can have if you follow these steps and you don't give up. All right, hopefully you guys found this video valuable. If you're enjoying this type of content, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you hit that bell for notification, because otherwise my videos will just simply not show up for you. Also, make sure to check out my free Tinder guide. Link's gonna be in the description. It's gonna show you exactly how to set up your profile so you can meet girls, so they can become your fuck buddies, and ultimately, maybe one of them can become your girlfriend. All of that info is gonna be in my free Tinder guide, link in description. Thank you guys, and until next time.